Hello everyone, welcome to one another episode of weekly sectoral analysis. Now last week we had a pretty nice pullback, uh, especially due to the gap up which did open on 8th of April. Now due to this massive gap up, has the trend changed? Has the momentum changed? Or has the overall picture changed in the market right now? I think that would be one of the biggest questions in every trader's mind. Well, if we have a look at the weekly time frame chart over here on the right hand side, we can very clearly see that the trend is down. The momentum is also down, and with the trend and momentum being down, this is just a short-term pullback. Now within this short-term pullback, you can see the size of the candles have increased immensely in the weekly time frame chart, and even the volatility in the daily time frame chart has shot up. Now, generally, when the volatility has shot up, a trader needs to be very careful when he or she takes trades in any of the sectors or in stocks. You need to be very careful. And understand this, that this volatility is not just a global correction, but this volatility is also fueled to a lot of news which comes out from few of the leaders. And when they say something, when Donald Trump says something, suddenly the market spike or they start falling. So you have to be very careful about that. The best way to probably take care of that as of now, if you're worried about the volatility, if you're worried about the sudden change in news, the best way to tackle that is probably reduce your position sizing if you're worried about that. And in terms of levels, if you want to find out resistance and support, we can plot a fib over here. I think the recent resistance, short-term resistance would be somewhere at 24,259 and 24,750. All right. So these are the resistance levels. Now going ahead with the Bank Nifty, again the trend and momentum in the weekly time frame chart is certainly down, and this is just a mere pullback. This is certainly nothing more than that. And you can see the size of this candle. It is humongous. It is huge. Even over here, if you can see the size of the candles here, and suddenly a breakdown happening here, and then with time the size of the candles increasing, the volatility shooting up. And generally when there is a gap up, generally, and this is a massive gap up, एक छोटा सा gap up नहीं, बहुत बड़ा gap up है. So generally when we have a very big gap up or a gap down, volatility spike हो जाता है. And when the volatility spikes, you need to be very careful about your stop losses, because generally the stop losses to initiate trades are generally bigger. So be careful about your position sizing. But overall, so far, I know that the news have been positive little bit here and there, but be very careful. And as per the technical charts, you can say that the trend and momentum is certainly down. And if you want to have a look at the supports, resistance, the first resistance is somewhere at 55,824. We are just above that. थोड़ा सा उसके ऊपर close हुए हैं. And the next level of resistance is at 57,210. But along with this zone, this particular 57,210, this entire zone is a resistance. Why? Because we have a gap over here, and along with gap we have this recent low. So ये पूरा जो band है 57,500 से थोड़ा ऊपर से लेके 57,200, 210, this is an entire short term resistance band in Bank Nifty. PSU banking space, I think what has happened is the speed with which it has fallen over here is huge, and then suddenly there has been a pullback. It's very difficult to judge what's happening over here in PSU banking space, but so far I can say predominantly, even if the prices have shot up in the weekly time frame charts, no doubt about that. अगर हम daily time frame charts को देखें, then we have made a lower low in price, and so far this is a lower high. Now, I'm not saying that a pullback trader probably will take it as sell on rise or something, but overall, I think the chart is not looking that positive. So one should be careful if you're a long only trader in the PSU banks. Private banking space is pretty much bearish. Trend is down. Momentum is also down. And the candle which is visible over here in the weekly time frame chart is pretty big in size. The volatility has shot up. You can see the volatility has spiked. And overall, it is certainly a negative sector. अभी यहाँ से अगर कुछ change होता है, then it's a different thing. But so far, it is certainly negative. One needs to understand one thing, even if it's negative, and if you are a derivatives trader and if you're thinking that, okay, markets are negative, trend and momentum is negative, and if this is just a pullback, probably I'll use this bounce to probably initiate a short trade on the downside. Well, you can do that, but you need to be very, very careful about the volatility of the market. That suddenly, if sitting in the West says something about the war situation, anything can happen. Be very, very, very careful about your position sizing. Be very, very careful. All right. Oil and gas. Oil and gas space, I think I don't need to actually say much about this sector, because if you properly look at it, it is clearly visible, like lower lows, lower highs. So I think this is just a downtrend and a down momentum with a mere pullback happening. Overall, a downtrend, you can see even over here very, very clearly. So this is just a mere pullback. Over here, I think in oil and gas space, उतना volatility spike नहीं हुआ है, at least so far. अभी आगे जाके क्या होगा, that we'll have to see. Auto space, again, I would say trend momentum down. Lower high, lower low visible in the weekly time frame charts. This is just a mere pullback. I agree, and I know that the prices have closed above the dual moving averages over here. You can see that. But, just by closing sometimes does not happen. You need to have some more things happening in price for the momentum to change, which has not happened over here. And at times it takes time for the momentum to change. In the daily time frame chart also, I would say the trend is still down. The momentum is flattish in the daily time frame chart, and the volatility has spiked way too much due to the gap and the size of these candles in the daily time frame chart. Be a little bit careful when you're trading in the auto pack. Be slightly careful. Consumer durables. Consumer durables also, I think the direction is down, trend and momentum is down, but the one feature about this particular sector is that this sector with time has continued with its lower highs and lower lows, but with time you can see the size of the candles have been increasing, यानी कि volatility है वो shoot up होते जा रहा है. And generally, whether you are a long only trader or a long and short trader, generally low volatile market environments are better to make money, because in high volatile environments, एक तो stop losses थोड़े बड़े रहते हैं and sudden moves can happen. You can see the way gap up and gap down have been happening over here. So be careful while initiating the trades, but overall it's a weaker sector. Consumption pack, I think I don't need to say much about it. The trend and momentum is down with just a mere pullback, and the RSI did probably hit a positive divergence. If you want, you can check it here. Yes, we had a positive divergence and a very nice and a sweet pullback on the upside, with the trend and momentum still being down. And even in the daily time frame charts, you can see we continue to make lower highs and lower lows. So overall biasness is still on the downside. Finance pack, again, same thing. I don't think I need to say much. Trend down, momentum down, mere pullback. The size of the pullback is huge in the weekly time frame chart, and even in the daily time frame chart, you can see that as the correction accelerated, as the fall accelerated on the downside, the size of the candles shot up And along with this gap up, I think the volatility has spiked a lot in the finance pack. Direction down, but volatility very, very high. FMCG pack, a relatively smoother chart. This is very funny. I know that when markets were normal at that point of time, FMCG as a sector बहुत ज़्यादा volatile, choppy था. But now if you compare with the other sectors, no doubt it is falling. It's not rising. But still, I think in terms of volatility, in terms of the size of gap ups and the size of the candles, FMCG is a much smoother chart. Overall direction is down and the trend and momentum continues to remain down. IT pack. IT pack, what has happened here is trend momentum down, certainly. Sudden pullback, and this pullback was due. In fact, it took a lot of weeks before it shot up because the RSI was well below 30. Over here, I think the trend could be up in the daily time frame charts, but when the weekly time frame chart is weak, you need to be very, very careful in the daily time frame chart. I mean to say, if you're a long only trader, ID space is certainly not a space to go long. So be careful about it. Infra. Now in infra space, what we can see is trend down, momentum down, but extremely volatile, supremely volatile. I mean, you can see the size of the candles here, and you can see the size of the candles and the way smoothly the chart is moving. And over here, it suddenly zip zap zoom. Suddenly, when you see these movements, gap downs, gap ups, gap downs, gap up, not a very good time to make money. So I think in intra pack, if you are a short-term trader, be slightly careful. Now metal pack, why it has shot up is in the daily time frame chart, it was weak. Last week I could not make a video. I was busy with few things. I could not. But the monthly time frame chart was looking nice and suddenly the weekly shot up. Now if you are a swing momentum trader, I think what is happening here is the trend and momentum in the weekly chart is now flat. Trend is up, but the momentum is probably flat. And one should wait for the daily and the weekly time frame chart to come into sync, and then probably start trading the breakouts in the metal pack chart. But you need to be very, very careful because the reason is, I think apart from metal pack, every other sector is negative, and certainly at such times in the market, जब दूसरे सब सेक्टर्स उतने ज्यादा पॉजिटिव नहीं हैं और एक ही सेक्टर पॉजिटिव है, I am not saying you cannot trade in that sector, but you need to trade it with a pinch of salt, with a little bit of doubt in your mind, and yes, taking care about the position sizing. Do not just blindly go long. Especially जो long only traders हैं उनको संभालना चाहिए, because see what happens is a short and a long trader, उनका एक नहीं, उनके शायद 2-3 पोजीशन होंगे. If they lose something in the metal pack, they might try to make up somewhere else. But a long only trader only has one sector right now. A pharma pack. Pharma pack, I think it was a very good sector somewhere in this zone. I had been telling early on, somewhere here. But then probably something changed, maybe due to something news or something else. I think pharma sector has certainly worked as a spoil sport. In terms of candles also, it is not that weak, because if you just have a plain look at the charts in pharma, it has done nothing for multi-month consolidation phase. Well, it goes a little bit up, comes down, and suddenly a pullback, and then it gives all the gains. So ho kuch nahi raha hai. It is overall choppy and range bound. So I think I will pass this sector. I'll leave it. As of now, it is certainly weak, but I'll be very careful before trading anything in this sector. A PSE sector, I would not like to comment anything. Again, PSE is also choppy. It is range bound, you can see. It's very, very choppy. So I'll just pass it off. I'll move to the reality pack. Realty pack, I think it's a no-brainer. It's one of the weakest sectors out there. The trend and momentum is certainly down, a very smooth chart with one big green candle in the weekly time frame chart, which has helped to shoot the volatility. Now, if a long short trader wants to trade anything in the realty pack, one needs to see that the volatility in the price needs to cool down first, and only then one can start tracking the real estate pack. But overall, a very, very weak sector, because you can see continuously it's making lower highs, lower lows. It's not a very strong sector. Okay. India defense, again, I have no comment, because frankly the momentum is not positive, it's negative. But what is happening is the news flow is so टेरेबल. आई मीन अगर आप यहाँ पे देखिए, ये देखिए इंडिया डिफेंस कितना स्मूथली ऊपर जा रहा है या कितना स्मूथली नीचे आ रहा है. बट ओवर हियर इफ यू कैन सी, सडनली द इंडिया डिफेंस पैक shoots up, suddenly comes down, suddenly goes up. I think ऐसे टाइम पे, in this scenario, it is not easy to make money. It's not easy. So as a trader, when one sector is giving extremely wild swings, I think it is better as a trader, it makes sense to leave it aside and probably let it arrive to a decision कि भाई मैं या तो ऊपर जाऊंगा या नीचे जाऊंगा, and then initiate trades in those sectors. Otherwise, we should stay put and we should wait patiently. Mid caps, I think the trend momentum is down, certainly, no doubts about that. Only thing is the candle which has been appearing on the weekly time frame chart is huge. ये कोई छोटा candle नहीं है, बहुत बड़ा candle है, and I think in the comparison of other sectors, the mid cap candle pack, the size of the candle is huge. And even over here we have a gap up, and suddenly we have a surge of volatility in the last few weeks. Okay. So overall is certainly a negative sector, but one needs to see that if you want to trade anything right now on the negative side, one needs to see something happening in the price first. Otherwise, it makes no sense, because so far the price has been shooting up in the last probably 6 days. So overall, I think summing it up all, apart from metal pack, majority of the sectors are negative. Majority of them, not a very good time to go aggressively long. Not a very good time to probably go aggressively even short. Wait out, wait patiently, let the volatility cool off. Even if you trade, whether on the upside or on the downside, be sure that you have reduced your leverage. The reason for that is the current positioning in the market is not just about where the levels are or what is happening in the charts, but apart from that, a lot more thing is being governing with the help of, any announcement or news. So trade very, very carefully, trade less, and be smart. Take care, guys.